are going to go ahead and get started. Katerina, will you take the roll?
Yes. Anna Barbieri.
Here.
Clark Bullen. Emily Gray.
Here.
Greg Shelton.
Here.
Jared Henderson excused. Keith Zuspan.
Here.
Lori Stringham. Lindsay Longton. Mercy Houseman.
Here.
Matt Holton. Mick Sudbury.
Here.
Nicole Handy excused. Nick Griffith.
Here.
Tessa Stitzer.
Here.
Zach Jacob.
Here.
Thank you.
It looks like Clark. Is that Clark there? Yeah.
No.
She got him.
Oh, she got him here. Okay, great. All right. Like to open the meeting for public comment. If there are any members of the public that are wishing to make a comment before the board, they may do so now. Oh, yeah.
I do have a comment to read
Thank you.
from a Magna resident named Lauren, Lorin, Tweed, Twede. She sent this through Abby Evans from Salt Lake County Council.
Okay.
And it says, the semi-annual container program has historically been a highly effective and appreciated service. When multiple containers were placed throughout neighborhoods, residents had ample opportunity to dispose of unwanted items, and the containers were consistently well utilized. The changes implemented during the COVID period appear to have reduced the program's accessibility without a clear ongoing need. The previous model did not present significant safety concerns and was widely beneficial to the community. The current approach, which often relies on placing a container at a private residence, can limit participation. In many cases, the container reaches capacity quickly, preventing other residents from having the same opportunity to use the service. Given the program's past success, I respectfully request that you consider returning to the previous model or expanding access so that it better serves all county residents. This service was both efficient and highly valued, and restoring it would be greatly appreciated by the community. Lauren Tweed, 8155 Westbury Drive, Magna, Utah.
All right. Thank you. Do you have any other comments? All right. Seeing as how there is none, we'll close public comment. Move on to Board of Trustees business. Looking to schedule the Board of Trustees and Leadership Staff Retreat. It looked like we had the most consensus on the 28th of May. Is that right?
Yes.
But then Matt Holton, whose kind of brainchild this was wondering if we could move it sooner. So I don't know if you want to lead that discussion, Evan, or do you want to?
There were a couple other options, and I don't know, we may have not had that readily available, but we looked for availability across the board members, and the overwhelming availability was the May 28th from 1 to 5 p.m. I did speak with board member Holton, who I believe will be here shortly. He very much wants to attend, but will be out of the country during that time frame, but also recommended that we hold that retreat sooner rather than later. And one option we talked about was possibly rescheduling the regular April 27th meeting and having the retreat during that regular meeting time frame as opposed to May 28th, and then therefore postponing regular business until a later meeting, perhaps the May meeting. So
I would fully support that, but I mean, I guess the question really is for staff, how you feel about that, about doing the retreat for the April meeting. Was that something you guys would be okay with?
I think so, and my thoughts are that we definitely want to have as many board members attend as possible with the goal of 100% attendance to talk through goals, initiatives, challenges, what concerns are you hearing from your respective communities, and how do we move forward to make sure that we're providing the best service at the best possible rates and meeting service demand of all of our customers. And so ideally having everyone attend, and I know there were a few that were not able to attend the 28th. I think Mayor Sudbury was one of them, but there were maybe one or two more. Do you recall by chance, Katerina?
I have the spreadsheet.
And she may be able to share that as well.
It's in the board meetings. No. There's an Excel spreadsheet in the board meetings.
Is it in the working hours?
Meetings, it goes to the top.
While we're looking for that, how do people feel about moving it to the meeting, the April meeting?
They modified.
I'm okay with that.
Which day?
The 28th, 7th,
7th, I believe.
whatever that Monday is.
Yes.
So that wasn't an option that was originally listed on our choices, but since that's generally part of what we have reserved, I was assuming you thought that might mean we could get greater attendance, which I think
Right.
makes sense. Any thoughts from anybody else?
Oh, I will be, I'll be gone.
Oh, tough life in Hawaii. Well, are we okay with doing that? Okay, all right.
This is a one-day retreat?
I think it would just be the same time as the regular meeting, so.
Just for 2 hours
Or just a fancy meeting. 4 hours.
We,
or 4 hours?
It might be a little bit longer.
And a weekend is not an option.
I'm gonna say no, not for me, but I can't speak for everybody else.
for the May 28th, we put in an estimated duration of 4 hours, which it probably would not be that full time. And then depending on the time in which the meeting's held, we can provide food and drink and others, or even a lunch break. And so if we did the April 27th, we could do an 8 to noon or even a 10 to 2 and have a break in between for lunch, possibly.
I would vote for the 8 to noon personally, but that, then people still have the whole afternoon, but. Are we okay with that?
Or maybe there's an option that Katerina can send one final note out and requesting to see who's available on the 27th of April from 8 to noon, or the May 28th that we looked at, and then make a decision based on preference from there, perhaps?
Just between those two.
Oh, there's a hand for Mercy, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Just really quickly, I may not be able to commit to a full 4 hours on April 27th. I can in May because my MBA classes will be finished for the semester and I've got greater flexibility. That's why the May 28th works better for me. I can make April 27th work. I just don't know that I can commit to the 4 hours. But it is far more important to get, as many of our members as possible to be there, even if I'm not able to stay the whole time. So that's sort of where I am.
Okay, so maybe let's, as you suggested, put out one more final call to see where we have most people land and go from there. Does that sound like a
Yeah,
good plan?
that'd be great.
Okay,
And on here, we didn't hear back from Keith, Matt Holton, Nick Griffith, or Clark Bowman.
well, maybe that when we send out like that final, like a poll or something to just say out of those 2 dates, which is better. Hopefully we can
8
get,
to noon.
yeah. And I would think, and I would think you would think as well, like even for either of those days, if you can only attend partial, that's better than not at all.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Lori.
Oh, Lori, yep.
Yep. I think looking at it, April's probably better for me. I think I think I'm out of town for part of that May one, so let me just verify that. But that's my 2 cents
That works
worth.
for you?
Yeah. Well, April's better for me too, but I can make the May one work if we need to. Anyway, so we'll put out another poll to kind of get everybody, consensus for everybody. We'll just go with whatever works best for the most people.
And just with the 2 options?
Yeah, just with the 2
Okay.
options, yeah. All right, okay, consent, items, get a motion to, well, does anybody have any comments or concerns about the meeting minutes for the March 2nd meeting? Okay, seeing as there is none, can I get a motion to?
So moved.
Get a second?
Sorry.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, let's move on to the business items for the general manager's report.
Excellent, thank you everyone, good afternoon, and thanks for coming for a later than normal meeting, and I think we'll hopefully be out of here by 6:30 today at the very latest. I wanted to provide an update on what I introduced to this board, I think back in January, maybe February, but the overall list of priorities, goals, and initiatives, or PGIs, as we've developed in the 5 different categories. So we've kind of shrunk down some of the columns, and I realize when we publish this in the board packet, it's very difficult to read. So I'm gonna try to change the orientation and have it so it's more legible moving forward. But before I get there, and I'll go over this very, very briefly today on the PGIs at a minimum, but I did have some other updates, just verbal, that I'd like to provide, and I'll skip through a couple of them. But Helen and her team have been very actively working on transitioning to a new payment processing vendor. We're going from express bill pay to point and pay. Our original goal was April 1st to switch over, and now we're looking more like at a May 1st. So we have a lot of education and outreach, getting the word out, getting people transferred over from those electronic paperless billing subscriptions. I don't know if you had that flyer readily available, Renee, for that particular item. If not, that's okay. But we're working on an outreach campaign to make sure everyone is aware of that transition, which will be a large deal because everything of our bills will be sent through that system and paid in. It will sync up with our Cassell management software for our financial and timekeeping reporting.
Can I just ask a really quick question?
Yeah.
If we're already on like an automatic bill pay, will that transition over? We'll need to reset that up?
You have to reset it up, yeah, they can't bring payment information over.
Okay, all right.
The good news is, and it's also reflected in this list of PGIs, that we are forecasting a significant savings by this transition to the new merchant services vendor. So I've added some quantifications as to where we've projected for the remainder of 2026, and then if there's ongoing savings as well, which I'll briefly go over here momentarily. A few other brief items. We have been looking at transitioning our billing from a full-size paper to a postcard billing. We've evaluated concerns related to board member Jacob, who brought up concerns with private public information on those cards, and we have no reason to think that there are any concerns from personal identifying information concerns related to that. So Helen's working with our Zion's Lockbox and our printing team that prints these bills and mails the bills, and by us switching over to postcard bills, we're estimating, based on actual costs and the number that we're currently sending out for printed statements, an annual savings of $192,000 in combined printing and mailing costs. That will be ongoing. For this year, if we begin in May, our savings will be, for this year, $128,000 for those costs. That's not reflected in these PGIs yet. We wanted to make sure that we were fully ready to implement that before we entered it into these PGI sheets as well. So that'll be a significant savings. We can provide detail if the board is interested in that as well. Last month, board member Sudbury inquired about the overtime pay for premium holidays for which we continue to collect refuse and recycling. And so currently we have 4 identified premium holidays: Memorial Day, Independence Day, Pioneer Day, and Labor Day, for which our drivers do work. We've done the analysis on that. Helen pulled numbers from 2025 based on actuals, and for those 4 days, we looked at what is the total wages based on that extra half time that those drivers get, and then we actually burden that with our variable benefits. And so the total impact, fully burdened for those workers that get that automatic time and a half for those holidays, the annual impact last year was $31,480. So not necessarily a significant amount of money. I believe the team are willing to look into this, but we'd want to implement and survey our drivers, because my experience in past roles and similar roles, and I've talked to some of the team, including David, our operations manager, is that most drivers actually elect to work the holiday, and they'd rather not come in on the subsequent Saturday and have that weekend off as opposed to working. And so given the relatively limited impact from a budgetary perspective, I personally don't see the need to to make that shift. I think it could negatively impact morale and offset the gains of saving those costs. But again, we're happy to look into it, and we can survey our drivers if this board would like us to do so.
I think that if it sounds like that's what they want, I think we want them to be happy, feel supported. Anyone differently?
Great option.
We could still look into this and kind of see if there are certain drivers that would want
Yeah.
to see that. So, one other item, a few more quick items. I apologize. These are things I wanted to inform the board, keep everyone educated as to what's going on. We lease a shared site with several county departments that helps with our communications from basically our CB radios and our trucks and our equipment. That site is the Mahogany Radio Tower. It's on the mountain on the west side of the county. Several county departments, sheriff's office, the landfill, I think even Taylorsville and others actually use this to some extent. We pay a shared cost on the maintenance and the lease for that site. However, we've been meeting with the Salt Lake County Fleet and their Public Works Department and have learned that equipment at that site is basically beyond end of life and is using obsolete technology. So it's using analog as compared to digital CB radio communications technology. It's actually gone down twice, once in December, and it's actually down right now for the entire county, and they're actively working to address it. Parts are difficult to find. Long story short, we've been meeting with the county on this and are at this time planning to share the cost for equipment upgrades, which would be a capital expense, through an interlocal agreement with the county. The estimated upgrades total are about $650,000. We did not plan for this in our budget for this. Our share would be $115,000 roughly. So we're working out details on that. That would be part of our additional expenses. As to the capital savings, we'll speak to a little bit later in this board meeting today as well. But this also comes with our need to replace the radios in our equipment, which are currently analog and going to digital, so they actually work with that equipment. And so that cost would be an additional expense to the organization. And I've calculated that, and we're still working out some details on that, being roughly $300,000 for getting all new radios purchased, installed, and set up with the county fleet, for which we partner with as well. And so combined, that's roughly the cost of a single side load truck. So about $415,000 that we're looking at for the radio upgrades, which is an essential need for our operations and many county operations as well. So just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. It wasn't something that we budgeted for, but we do have significant capital savings this year that we feel can offset that additional expense that will be needed.
So do we need a budget amendment for that, or because we have things set aside, are we okay to just?
I'll defer to Rachel. We're not planning to exceed our operating budget nor our capital budget. So in my experience, then there would not be an amendment necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. All right.
Evan, are there other options that maybe would not require a traditional radio like that, like a cellular type connection that would be as reliable across the entire county?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer to that. I've inquired with our internal team whether or not we could maybe tie into a private radio tower as opposed to with the county's tower. We can certainly look into that further, and I imagine David can get with our fleet manager, Andy, and come up with some ideas on it. So we've met with the county now twice and have not identified any alternate options. That is not. Thank you, simply. I do have a few other updates, but I think I can skip on those. We're working with the City of Taylorsville to plan the cleanup day on May 16th. And one final item I would like to just bring to the board's attention, or just kind of as a heads up. So we have had several new board members this year, and it looks like we may have actually one additional board member transitioning in the near future. And so typically the general manager has met with new board members on a one-on-one basis. And given the large degree of turnover, I'll likely send out a note and request we set up maybe a virtual meeting where we can collectively go over just history of the organization and our organizational structure, our budgets, our operations, et cetera, to kind of have that orientation collectively, hopefully within the next month or two. And it'll be really helpful, and I'll send out a note to some of the newer board members that I've not met with one-on-one, but I'm still happy to meet one-on-one and meet you at your convenience as well. So. Thank you. So with the PGIs, we are actively working on this, and this is something we'll continue to compile throughout the year. And so this month, what we have done is actually split out the qualitative benefits into two separate columns. So one is what we've calculated, and again, these are all ongoing, for the one-time cost savings for 2026. And when we list those are projected out for the remainder of the year. Any of those one-time savings that will be ongoing in 2027 and beyond, we're also quantifying those as part of this ongoing growing list of PGIs. We've added several new items. For this spreadsheet, anything that's highlighted yellow is an update since the last version was sent out. I will work on the formatting so it'll actually be more legible in the board packets moving forward. But Renee, if you can just scroll down, there's a few I just wanted to kind of point out when we get to like the cost savings pieces. So we're adding them in as we go, and the postcard, as I mentioned, is not necessarily incorporated in here yet. This item number, admin 7, we actually started looking and reconciling our information technology expenses with the county and identified several unused accounts, unused network systems. Helen, we looked at this actually ties to our Cassell databases and servers. And so right now, this number will actually grow, but as it stands right now, we're looking at a significant ongoing, but also one-time savings for kind of cutting down some of those expenses that we were incurring, largely unknowingly. The way we're getting those data were very large macro embedded Excel spreadsheets. And so we've identified significant savings for our IT expenses to begin with. We're going to continue to scroll down as well. Financial 5 and 6. So the first one here is looking at the payment transaction fees, which we did remove from the fee schedule that this board will evaluate this evening. But as part of that transition, we've quantified the savings from express bill pay to point and pay based on a forecast of the virtual payment options for which express bill pay would have charged us and point pay will not charge us. So there's other savings built in there. So Helen's calculated these numbers. So then there's significant savings that is one time for this year once we implement that, and then ongoing for next year as we move forward. And then financial 6, this is a piece that we wanted to add and make sure we're showing these changes. So we've been sitting on about 4 vacancies throughout the year thus far, so January through March. And so we've been holding off on backfilling some vacancies based on some pending changes. Understanding those timelines better, I've recently asked the team to rehire for 2 of those vacancies, which they won't start until April. But we've calculated the cost savings of not hiring those 4 drivers, 3 drivers and 1 lead worker for January, February, and March, and that savings comes out to about $97,500. So cool. So we're really trying to track all of these numbers, and we'll keep building on this. And I guess I'll probably skip to the bottom. This is actually one we should talk about. In previous years, this organization has purchased a significant number of leaf bags that are not special bags, they're not compostable. They do have Woodford's logo on them. We've hidden one of the columns, but we have the benchmark. So in 2024, I think we spent about $24,000 on leaf bags. In 2025, we spent about $32,000 or $33,000 on leaf bags. So these come here on pallets. It's a huge amount of materials. And then our team delivers those to various cities, city halls, libraries, and maintains inventory throughout the leaf bag collection season. I'm recommending that if we want to, really dial in on our cost savings and look at some ongoing opportunities to save costs, that we stop purchasing leaf bags starting this year and moving forward. Again, they're not any sort of special leaf bags. They're not compostable. I would like to look at how we can make this program more supportive of diverting waste from the landfills, but as you're probably all aware that, loose leaves have debris and litter and rocks and other stuff in them that makes them really not eligible for composting or reclamation purposes. Again, it's a relatively small expense in the scheme of our entire budget. But when it comes to the labor and the staffing and the fuel and the drive time and delivering those bags and keeping those inventories maintained throughout the season, I imagine that adds up to a significant number. But we could look at it in another way as well. We don't purchase and provide trash bags for the customers. The leaf bag program is funded solely through our user fees. And so it begs the question, should we continue purchasing leaf bags that we're expensing? That's basically a standard trash bag. They're yellow bags, they have our logo on them. We actually toured the new transfer station at Sandy late last year that's operated by Transjordan. And we saw trucks being delivered from Waste Management that had yellow bags in them that were ours, that were being used for alternate purposes. And so it's very difficult to track who's using them, how they're being used, and make sure that they're only used for residents that we are servicing within our state.
Are you looking for any direction from us on these things?
I figure there may be a differing of opinion on this, something that we would maybe initiate this year and not purchase those bags. That would result in a $25,000 savings roughly this year, and then $25,000 ongoing.
There's not many savings that I think you'll find me to advocate against. So I'd be in favor of foregoing with the bags if that's my inclination.
I can support that decision too.
I could too. Anyone have a problem with that or concerns? Yeah.
Just to verify, the alternative is people use their own bags.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Excellent. I just want to make sure that I was very transparent about that before we made that change, which will be this year. And I think several folks probably anticipate having those bags available at the library, so we'll want to update our website as well. I think we were at one of the city halls recently, about a month ago. It's actually here, and their public service desk had some leaf bags still available for pickup there. We also do have 1,400 rolls readily available that we still have from last year. And so as part of this change, we'll leave them here, and if people want to pick up those remaining bags, they can come to our office and get them in that fashion.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Lots of our dates, but I'll go briefly over here. And this ties to a later agenda item. We were originally budgeted to purchase 8 replacement side load trucks this year. I've been reluctant to purchase all 8 of those, and I've asked the team to only purchase 4 of those side load trucks this year. So we are seeing a savings from those 4 trucks that we're not going to purchase, but we've quantified the savings for those trucks for not purchasing those CNG replacement trucks. And so this year, the CNG trucks were more than $60,000 more per unit. And so we are continuing to quantify those one-time savings. So close to $250,000 saved by purchasing diesel, although diesel prices are very volatile right now. Time will tell as to what happens with that, but the purchase price for the truck is still significantly reduced from going with the diesel truck, which does have improved emissions controls, Tier 4B emissions, and so on and so forth. So we can look at that on a more continuous basis. We have currently 8 diesel side loads that are still pending from last year's order that we did purchase, and then an additional 4. So this will set us further back in our capital replacement for our side load trucks. But I want to make sure we held cash reserve this year and had a buffer as part of that. But we're also looking at these new radio tower and radio related expenses. But we're also asking for the board's blessing at a later time in this agenda as to use some of those savings to purchase a single rear load truck, which our rear load trucks are well aged and need some upgrades. So, and there's data on that later on. And if you can scroll to the very bottom, Renee. So what we've done at the very bottom here is looking at rows. Can't read that for some reason. I have allergies. My eyesight is not very well today. Looks like rows 50 and 51. So for the column H is the one-time savings that we forecasted, at least at this time. This does not include the additional almost 200,000 for the postcards. We'll keep adding to this throughout the year. But year to date, as we forecast through the remainder of this calendar year, we're looking at already a savings of roughly $500,000. And then of that, the ongoing and subsequent years will be close to that 193,000. The next row below, last month we presented on the savings from 2025, which was roughly $1.82 million. So we've looked at that, we've backed out the one-time savings, and I've actually added a buffer on that, so we've reduced some of our, our overtime savings, and so really that number is probably very, very much higher than that, but we've carried forward the ongoing savings from 2025. And so when you add that 1.24 million, which is highlighted there in yellow, our total savings for 2026 combined currently forecasted at about 1.7 million for this year. And of that, we've carried forward the additional ongoing of 1.4 in subsequent years. And so we'll continue to build this. We'll continue to evaluate if there are changes in staffing levels. A lot of those are continuing those RIFs and underfilling positions or not filling positions for which there have been retirements. But that's kind of where we're at this time. And we're still very early on in a lot of these initiatives and PGIs that we've developed. And we'll continue to bring us back to the board on probably a quarterly basis every 2 to 3 months.
I just want to say, I really like the way that you have this organized to really highlight all of the efforts, and I appreciate the structure sharing that with us, and also the efforts themselves. It's pretty significant and impressive, and so we thank you and everybody for doing the work.
Yeah, this has been a team effort and driven by so many different personnel. So
Really, really appreciate that, and please pass on our thanks to everyone who's worked on it, because as we know, it's a lot. Okay, so moving on to 4.2 prospective central bulk loading and public drop-off dates.
I forgot we reordered the agendas. I'll try to keep this brief, but this may also engender some discussion. And so I think everyone is mostly aware here is that for our scrap season, we are significantly ramping up our capacity. This year, we are looking at a goal of servicing a minimum of 72 containers today. In the past 2 or 3 years prior, we've been servicing about 60 containers per day on average throughout our scrap season. Right, if you could scroll to the top of this section, I think it's 4.2A, which has the table and the dates. Yes, thank you. So we talked last month about several opportunities and ideas for central bulk loading. For possibly looking at going to a curbside program in 2027, which will continue to bring back more information to this board in subsequent meetings. One other thing I wanted to point out before I kind of talk about some of these ideas is that, as I mentioned, we've been holding 4 vacancies this year. And so just recently, I asked Hazel and the team to work and move forward with advertising to backfill 2 of those full-time positions. We've learned that the Harriman transition is likely to take place no sooner than 3 months, but probably 6 months plus down the road. We are in our busy season. Our green waste program started. Our scrap season is quickly coming upon us as well. So we're backfilling 2 of those full-time positions, 4 of which are vacant. This budget year, we were authorized to, we budgeted for 12 seasonal drivers. And we've also had those 3 months of savings. And so I asked the team to overhire for our scrap seasonal drivers this year. So to offset those other vacancies, we are currently in the process of hiring not 12, but 14 seasonal drivers for the scrap program. We talked about our recruitment efforts. This is nothing that will exceed our budget. This is largely driven by our initiatives to maximize our capacity and better meet service demand for all of our communities. But we also have a history of and anticipate that when we hire 12 or 10 drivers, they don't always last for the entirety of the season. These are seasonal, non-benefited drivers. So those 2 additional seasonal drivers will not cost us more than a full-time position, which has been budgeted. And as we evaluate our volumes and our driver needs, we could possibly transition some of those seasonals to a full-time, depending on how things go throughout the season. So, point is that we're over hiring for staff and to hopefully make sure we can really, over deliver, this year on expectations and what we've seen in the past. So again, it's not a budget increase. We're not reallocating and staffing. It's just bringing on more capacity to support that program. And again, we already have the first 3 months of savings for those 4 vacancies that we've kept. So quick summary on this is that we talked about the central bulk loading. We're planning on a variety of these items. So we actually met with Salt Lake County Parks Department today. We do need to further evaluate Cottonwood Heights. Board Member Holton and I spoke about this earlier in the week. And I believe the county is looking at some other options in Cottonwood as well. So what we are kind of pitching at this time, and we're hoping to get this board's concurrence or support in these ideas, is that for Cottonwood Heights, Sandy, and White City service area, we would like to still move forward with the central bulk loading that we discussed. And so that would comprise us having the drivers take the majority of containers to a central location and having equipment load those into those rear load trucks, which pack the materials, maximize the load, and then haul those off to a disposal facility, thereby maximizing our efficiency and reducing our mileage and our fuel consumption for those items. So for Cottonwood, Sandy service area, and White City, we're proposing to continue with what we had talked about last month, is the central bulk loading. For Sandy and White City areas and the unincorporated remaining areas, we're looking at the use of Big Bear Park. Board Member Shelton and I had some discussions about this, and I believe Mayor Perry is in supportive, and Salt Lake County is supportive of this as well. We will need to get clearance from MSD on use of that park for those purposes, as I believe there are kind of a supporting from a maintenance perspective at that. So Cottonwood Heights is our first service area this year. It starts in early April. And Board Member Holt and I will explore some other areas in Salt Lake County. Parks is also looking at other opportunities because there are some concerns with Bywater Park as it pertains to users of that park and Little League baseball events as well. For the other areas, so Harriman and Copperton, we feel, and we evaluated this with our entire operations team, from a logistical standpoint and basically geographic area, the transfer and landfill is close enough that it wouldn't necessarily warrant us bulk loading. So we'll just plan to move those containers directly to the landfill facility for those. The other reason that we, as I continue on, is that we're not pitching what we're proposing beyond this, is that these services are coming up very quickly. It is March 23rd, believe it or not. And so we want to make sure we have enough time to plan for these. And so we elected to not propose what we're proposing for Magna, Kearns, West Jordan, which is the Ochre Highlands area, Taylorsville, Mill Creek, Holiday, and Murray. For these locations, we met with the team and talked about what would make sense from a central bulk loading and what would not make sense. And so ultimately, the team determined that it wouldn't make sense to central bulk load. And so I posed the question, what can we offer in lieu of central bulk loading to maximize our capacity? And again, minimum 72 containers a day. We're going to have the most drivers we've ever had. We have footbridge trucks that are readily available. But in essence, what we're proposing is to develop, implement, and promote a community-based central drop-off events at these remaining cities. Magna would be at the beginning of June to offer additional services and capacity for getting rid of unwanted bulk materials. And so what we propose is in the middle.
In addition to the rental.
Correct. Yes, so this would be in addition to the regular scrap services of the 72 containers per day. So right now we're looking at offering a 3-day event that would take place Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the very middle of each service area's scrap season and time frame, for which Renee and her team and Yale, who will speak later on our customer solutions program, will work during the reservation process. If someone's on a wait list, there will also be a question, would you prefer to drop off your materials separately and direct haul them to a location? So that's even if they want a container or if they can't reserve a container at the time, or if they have to go on the wait list, that they can actually sign up for that service. We identify probably hourly timeframes and certain allocations of timeframes, so people would have a QR code come to their email or they can print it. And then we would have a Woodford staffed drop points that we would work with our partner cities, with Salt Lake County Parks and Rec, which we talked with them today, and they were in support of this. Have a greeter, have someone managing logistics, have a team there with rotating trucks and having equipment to load out material. So the initiative here is intended to just really maximize how much material we can accept and collect for this year's scrap season. With our drivers and what we're looking at from forecasting for our capacity for seasonal drivers, we feel like we can pull this off, but also with utilizing some resources from our customer solutions team, for example, for greeting, directing traffic, not having a huge crowd of staff there, but really just demonstrating our efforts to really ramp up and increase our capacity and better meeting service demand for this year's scrap season. Next year, this is something we don't think would be necessary, especially if we do decide to transition to a more of a curbside-based program. Really, from my perspective, the increased expense here would just be primarily related to disposal fees. We would have more tonnage, more material removed, and we would pay for more in disposal tipping fees. But beyond that, we don't anticipate additional expenses that are not already budgeted, nor would we expect going over our budget in capacity. So we're looking at a variety of locations, Pleasant Green in Magna, Kearns Rec Center for Kearns Taylorsville, Valley Park, which is some areas, I'll send out some maps if the board is in support of this, in Taylorsville, and then for Mill Creek, Holiday, and Murray, we're proposing to use, there's an area in the northern parking lot for the Holiday Line scrap setting.
So it sounds like you're just wanting our approval, or are we all in support of this plan in addition to the regular scrap services that are provided? Do you have any questions or concerns? Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up. I think another thumbs up, great. Okay, so it sounds like we are supportive.
So I'll continue to keep everyone informed. I've been sending out a variety of emails. I know I've kind of gone in different directions. We're just really trying to ideate and have the best success in this program. Met with board member Griffith earlier this week as well. We're planning to support immigration the same way we are planning for Big Cottonwood Canyon. So we'll offer scrap services via trailer, in some cases scrap container for the month of May in immigration. And then Big Cottonwood Canyon would be for the month of August as originally planned. We should have postcards going out this week actually for that.
Great. Thank you very much. I think
Very novel.
yeah, I like seeing all of these new fresh ideas, and I like the way that you are really looking at being innovative and cost aware. So all right, so this is something that you mentioned earlier, the capital replacement update and consideration for the rear load truck. So go for it.
Yes, and so Helen has basically created an update to our capital replacement spreadsheet. Renee, would you mind zooming in just a little bit more into that? So we've kind of listed here what we've spent year to date, but we also have placed orders for several of these other smaller capital replacement items, which are coming in under budget. But the point of this today is to show that we are seeing a significant savings by not purchasing those originally 8 approved side load trucks. But they also came in again slightly under our original budget. So our cost savings is nearly 1.8 million in not purchasing those. I did also, of course, mention earlier that we're looking at about 315,000 for the radios, which was not on this original spreadsheet. But as we look at our rear load trucks, which are the ones that are used for our leaf bags, are the ones used for our Christmas tree program. We use them during tailored flow cleanups. We use them for a lot of special projects. We'll use them for our central bulk loading this year. And also as we look at those 2 trucks that we have, they are well aged. They have significant amount of miles on them, and they do experience significant downtime, even throughout the leaf bag season, which that's very light, less abrasive material that we'll likely use these for moving forward. So we're just hoping to get the board support. Again, it's not a budget change or an amendment. It's using cost savings And we're requesting the board's support moving forward with ordering one single rear load truck replacement this year in lieu of the 4 that we're not currently planning to purchase. And then depending on how things go with discussions on transitioning to a curbside bulky in 2027, we would likely build one additional rear load truck in for next year's budget as well. If you can scroll down briefly, Renee, this is kind of it's an overview of those trucks. And if you wouldn't mind zooming in a little bit more, the 2 rear load trucks we currently have are a 2011 and a 2013, both with more than 100,000 miles on them. And our fleet manager basically said that yeah, these are sometimes down more than they're up. And so if we're going to continue to rely on these or even increase our reliance on them, then we need to start ordering the truck sooner than later. That truck came in at a quote of roughly $352,000, which is less than a side load truck. And we better put it with an escalation factor for next year in the event that we will move forward with.
What's the resale value on those?
These, I couldn't say exactly, but they will be better than what we're seeing for our CNG side loads. A lot of solid waste providers are going away from rear load trucks, but I know major cities and in some cases Moab is still using rear load trucks as well. So it's diesel, and I imagine it would be much more than we're seeing for our side load trucks and diesel.
So this the 350,000 doesn't include any offset for resale of the old truck.
It does not, and at this point we would not sell the old truck. We would keep it because we need backups, we need spares for those. And even if we order this truck tomorrow, it's unlikely we will receive it by the end of the year, if not early next year. That's why we want to get ahead of this and get this truck on order as soon as possible. The lead time on these still remains significant.
Yeah, so question, and my fear is I'm gonna beat a dead horse here, but I got thinking about the customer's comment, how much they love the scrap program, please put it back on the street. And we were told for a lot of years, we couldn't put the scrap on the street, so now we move it to the driveway. Well, if we're thinking about both the corner, could we just put the scrap back on the street and anything over that, bring in this new rear loader and a little skidster and pick it up, anything that's left over from the scrap that's overflowed because you put the container on the street?
That's certainly an option, as part of.
I'm sorry, Evan.
No, totally fine. That's a perfectly valid question. So first and foremost, for our scrap program, we're looking at how can we maximize our capacity meeting servicing. I think that's been the long-term ongoing concerns with that program or the complaints thereof. Secondly, what I'm looking at is how can we make it the most efficient program possible.
Okay, I understand.
And so having individual containers that we saw even in 2025, we hauled over 7,400 containers that were less than a ton per container on average. It's like 0.76 ton per container. To an individual disposal facility is just, by design, it's just very inefficient.
My understanding is when they were on the street, then they got filled up, and that was the problem, is that they were completely full, and then they would overflow, and that's why we had to take them out of the street and put them in people's driveway. So now if it's okay to pick up some extra goodies on the street, we'll allow them to overflow and have the truck come up and just pick up what's left.
I'm gonna back you up for a different reason.
Okay, let's hear it.
So there are homes in Cottonwood Heights that we ran into this issue where some of the driveways are like this, and you cannot put this in their driveway. So then you're running into this situation, but then you also do run into, at least on this chart with the way that we're approaching it, in some of these other cities, you can say, you know what, I'd rather just go drop it off myself. Cottonwood Heights is not going to even have that option. So even if it's say, shoot, I can't put one in my driveway because it's so steep, but I have another option to drop it off. Again, that doesn't exist for us this year, which would be more reason, that's true, which would be more reason though to either create an option where they can drop it off at one of these other locations or put it in the street, because it would solve a lot of the steep driveway issues which we ran into this last year.
So my understanding was that the reason we haven't gone back to that was a cost and driver availability issue.
Yeah.
So it's almost twice as
So
expensive.
we could do it, it would just cost us a lot of money.
Is that true?
Is that still true? Or am I way off base?
I think the other part of the scrap program is that currently is designed is that we have a huge reliance on seasonal CDL drivers. I was quite surprised that we have 14 lined up to start with us. It's next week, right? Some people are optimistic, some people are not so optimistic and say, well, half of them may not show up on the first day. And so the other piece of this is cleanup on the street was where we had the scrap seasonal grounds crew. This year we eliminated those positions and moved those to driver positions and eliminated the 2 grounds crew that we named. Going to a curbside program, we have a lot still to evaluate as part of this. And there may not be a one size fits all, and different service areas, different cities may need a different model as we look at this. I know there's clearly concerned with parking and with parked cars in the street getting in the way of bulky waste piles. And then we just have piles of trash piling through our communities as we can control today.
There's a whole part of Cottonwood Heights, as you get closer to the canyon, that you couldn't put it on the street or in the driveway. It was an impossibility. And the bummer about that is they're paying the same rate as everybody else, and it's not an option for them.
So I'm just wondering, because I feel like, I mean, as every year, scrap is always like our biggest discussion point, because we do have all of these different situations. So my suggestion would be maybe we make that a major talking point for the retreat, where we can really look at all of these options, look at the costs of all of them, and really kind of dive in and get everybody's voice on that. And then today, just focus on this one rear loader. How do we feel about that for today? And then, because I think we need it. We need the truck. We need the discussion on scrap for sure. And I don't want to rush it. I want to make sure that we really have the time to really dive in. So does that sound okay to everybody?
Oh, it was about scrap, I think, so we can wait for set scrap.
Are you sure? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
And with our rear load trucks, I think we're underutilizing those resources, and I'm seeing opportunities to improve our services and collections and, bulk loading these materials and maximizing our hauling capacities by utilizing those.
So it sounds like whatever options we're looking at, this will help us meet all those. So
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
And are we supportive of this purchase? Okay.
We are.
But I need a motion? Yes, motion requested. We need one?
Doesn't hurt.
Okay. If we don't, then we're good.
I'll make a motion that we approve 4.3. There you go.
I'll second that unneeded
Okay.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, maybe I'm distracted a little too soon. So we have our public hearing at 6. We also have Renee and Neil have a presentation on the customer solutions program. I don't know if it's worth it to start it for a couple minutes and then pause for the public hearing that will likely be very, very short.
Do you want a break?
Yes.
Break?
6 minutes.
Yep, fine, right?
Do you want to start for 6 minutes? Do you want?
Yeah. Can.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't plan it to be longer.
Yeah. Okay.
Wasn't gonna be that long.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
we're fine.
Sorry. Sorry, difficult on the time you put.
No, it's okay. All right, so, just
You're good.
Just to introduce you, like a privilege to introduce her. She's been managing our front office now for 10 years. 12 years. 12 years. Yeah. So it's been quite a while. And so, I gotta say, just working with her, she started reporting up to me about 2 years ago, and wow, she blows me away, constantly looking for cost savings, ways to really improve customer interactions. Just always thinking ahead. I always tease her and Jorge, my MS guy, whenever I ask them to do something, by the time I get back to my office, it's done. It's just, they're just really, really keen on that. And a couple of fun facts about Yale is she also just recently got engaged, which we got in. So it's fun. And then
We all get invited. You don't want us to come?
So now we vote.
It's a very good wedding, and she's already starting to plan, which is very, very fun. And so, she's also from Argentina, so we get the benefit from providing rural funds to go as well. So she manages, our front office, she manages the website. She has wanted so much over the past few years, so I'm really happy to do things quickly. Manages all of our technology and communications type of aspects of things, so she's multi-talented, so that's my introduction on the other. You can read more in this slide, but yeah, she just powers it away. So leave it over to you now.
All right, so I'm going to take some time and thank you for allowing me to do this. I'm going to present a little bit of what my team does and what our day-to-day looks like. So we'll start with the first slide here. And so today I will walk through an overview of the Customer Solution Program and team and how this office supports residents and operations across the district. Slide 1, we can see the many ways our customers can get a hold of us. When I started, it was simply just a phone call, an email. As time went through, we obviously changed the website, allow customers to have more access to communicating to us through our website and email. So with our phone, basically we have customers that call us just to for service questions, billing questions, to take payments, and any urgent services. On the email, we do have on our website just lots of forms that they can submit if they had a miss, if they have broken cans. So again, everything's in the tip of their hands for them to do. They no longer have to call us or wait on the phone. Then we created the live chat, which when we started, it was impressive. We had a lot of people that liked it, and we've seen those numbers grow. Recently, what I did too with our Facebook, when you do Messenger, when you hit the Messenger, it will send you to the live chat when they're available. So that's a really cool thing that now we're seeing people, instead of just sending a message and waiting for someone to reply, they come directly to us. And then the walk-in, the best part I think for us, we get to have that face-to-face with our customers. And we have those ones that have, since I started, we see those ones always come in to make their payments and interact with us. So it's always nice. And we have ways of helping them do their reservations when they don't have computers or they don't understand. We have a computer for them available, and we walk them through the process too. And next slide. Here tells a lot about what we do in a year. Lots of phone calls, lots of emails, lots of chats. Again, it amazes me because every year I track all of the phone calls, and it's less on phone calls, more on online requests, which to me, it tells me that the things that we are doing, the way that we're changing things, it's working. Again, customers can easily just reach us without having to sit there on the phone, waiting for us or communicating with us, which I think a lot of them do appreciate because they are at work and they're able to do things through their phones or emails. And again, live chat, it's constantly going up. We do have that bot too that will answer questions for them when we're not available. Next slide.
Yeah, so let's pause for just a minute. So do we need to, Rachel, officially adjourn the meeting, and then
We don't need to adjourn this meeting. We just want a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
all right, all in favor to open the public hearing for on the proposed 2026 mid-year fee schedule? We've gone over that multiple meetings. Just as a reminder, that is for optional or opt-in fees. None of the standard fees for the regular service are being adjusted at this time. So, so the public hearing is now open. Is there a member of the public that would like to comment?
Did we take a vote on that?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh, do we need to do roll call vote? Okay, let's do roll call vote.
Anna Barbieri,
Here.
Clark Bullen,
Here.
Emily Gray.
Wait,
we're saying
Yes or no?
Yes, 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 yeah.
Yes.
Voting to open the public hearing.
Yeah.
Not a roll call to.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
Wrong earlier because I was thinking you were asking.
Oh, okay.
So just a vote.
So
We're
it's a-
voting.
Roll call vote,
Roll
but still
call.
names.
Yes.
Yes, so still do the names.
But it's yes or no, no.
They were saying here. Oh. Yeah.
Come on, you guys.
We're getting it, we're getting it.
It's all right. Anna Barbieri.
Yes.
Clark Bullen.
Yes.
Emily Gray.
Yes.
Greg Shelton.
Yes.
Karen Henderson, excused. Keith Zuspon.
Aye.
Lori Stringham.
Yes.
Lindsay Longton.
Yes.
Marcy Hausman.
Yes.
Matt Holton.
Here and yes.
Nick Sudbury.
Yes.
Nicole Handy. Excused. Nick Griffith. Tessa Stitzer.
Hi.
Zach Jacob.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so now, now the public hearing is open for any member of the public that wishes to comment on this proposed mid-year fee schedule. Okay. All right, seeing as how there is none, we will close the public hearing. Should we just consider the adoption of the resolution right now for dealing with that? So
Let's do a motion to close the hearing. That one doesn't need to be.
So moved.
Close the hearing.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now I would accept a motion to adopt, resolution 4445, a resolution adopting the 2026 mid-year fee schedule. Anybody wants to adopt that?
I'm happy to do that. I'll move the
Okay, so
2020.
motion for Clark, can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, we need to roll call this as well.
You did.
Probably.
Seconded. Mick.
Right.
Oh, Mick.
Okay, so we need to roll call this as well?
Yes.
Okay, so roll call vote on adopting the mid-year fee schedule.
Anna Barbieri.
Yes.
Clark Bullen.
Aye.
Emily Gray.
Yes.
Greg Shelton.
Aye.
Jared Henderson, excused. Keith Zuspon.
Aye.
Lori Stringham.
Aye.
Lindsay Longton.
Aye.
Marcy Hausman.
Aye.
Matt Holton.
Aye.
Mick Sudbury.
Yes.
Nicole Handy, excused. Nick Griffith.
Yes.
Tessa Stitzer.
Hi.
Zach Jacob.
Yes.
Thank you.
Before we count the vote or? Okay, so we had, so the motion passes, and then everyone's taking a quick comment.
Yes, I just want to point out, we did remove per feedback last month from this fee schedule, any and all payment transaction fees.
Okay. We talked about
Those
that.
have been removed, but we would like to still discuss this as we approach calendar year 2027, and consider incorporating one or more of those ideas that we've talked about in the past.
All right. All right, let's go back to Yale and.
I'm policy.
Thank you for.
Yeah. Any questions before I continue?
How many representatives take those calls?
So we have 5 of us that take those phone calls, and they're all full time. That's a lot. It's a lot.
31 calls a day per person?
Just about. Yeah. And on top of
Plus-
that, we do emails and we do the chats and we also, not only do we, interact with the residents, we do take care of title companies. So whenever there's changes of ownership, those homes need to be assessed. And there are a lot of homes that get sold, and that's a lot of work that takes.
And if a representative has a question, do they go to you to answer that question?
Correct.
And are you one of those 5 or are you a 6th?
No, I'm the sixth.
Okay.
So I do the same work. I would never ask my team to do something that I'm not willing to do. And I'm always on the phone. I'm like, Renee mentioned, I'm the only one right now in the team that speaks Spanish. So I'm constantly taking those Spanish calls. Which is nice because you're able to see what our customers are in need of. And that allows me to be able to change things if I need to, or fix things.
Awesome, nice. They're very lucky to have you.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. So the next slide will be the gateway for residents services. And on here, customer solutions acts as the gateway for all incoming residents' requests. This includes service questions, program participation, billing support, new service setup, issue investigations, and scrap scheduling assistance. And in here, basically, we can see the trail, what we do. The customer gives us a call, and there's always, different scenarios of questions, whether it's broken cans or misses or issues that are happening out in the field. If a driver drops something, or if a driver needs to come back because the can wasn't fully empty, that's where the customer gets a hold of us. And that's when we decide, okay, do we need to get a hold of operations and the field team, which we do that a lot of times via WebEx, and we use the radios to communicate with the drivers when we need to. And so it's a process, and it goes from customer to customers, from residents to customer solution to operations, and then back to us. A lot of times we don't end up going to the operations, and it goes from residents to us, back to the customer. But again, we always reach back to the customer to let them know the outcome of what, or resolution of what their question or needs is. And in here, it's about the same of what I just explained, kind of going into the steps of what it takes to do what we do. When I'm saying it, it sounds like, oh, it's an easy step. Yes and no, because with that comes, we have to verify a lot of things in the accounts. We try to make sure that we have current phone numbers, current emails. Then when we do the history, then we investigate whatever issue there is. And then we create a service order, which for us, that's a ticket if there's a broken can or something that needs to be done. Then we do get a hold of operations when needed. Then operations will update us. Then we contact the customer back, and then we notate that account. So with that, it's a process. We go through steps to make sure that we have all the needed information in case they were to call back and we're not there, then the next representative can take over and sort of finish the work without wondering what we did. Then on our daily alignments and practices, one of my favorites is the morning huddle. We started this not too long ago. This is where I'm actually able to meet with my team. And again, it's sometimes 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes. But basically, we get ready for the day. We know what we are facing, if there's challenges, if there are questions before we proceed with the day, we're able to answer that and basically take care of any needs within the team that we need. It's a way to communicate. I think that we are strong in communicating, whether we're doing it with our team or with the field or managers. We do a pretty good job when it comes to that. Then we also have one of the customer solutions teams that will go and attend the operations meeting. And to me, that was very important to do because it makes them feel like they are part of the team, and they're understanding also what it takes on the other side to do their work, what operations has to do to also help the customer. So they participate that, and to us that's good because at the end of that meeting they come back and let us know what to expect, what their challenges are, what routes are not covered and so forth. And then the ongoing communication with field supervisors via WebEx throughout the day. So those are the ways that we communicate, but we all stay in touch and we're able to help each other when we need to. And then here, it's the impact of customer solutions office, faster responses and resolutions, trying to figure out what they need to make their needs be faster instead of going through the website and not being able to find out. Just having those things being access to them or provided to them where it's just a click away or easy for them to find. Improve communications between residents, office staff, and field operations. I think that's important because, again, we need to hear what their needs are for us to be able to better our website, our communication skills. So we're always listening to that. Expand digital access. I think that's important when it comes to the website. Technology changes. It's amazing the things that's available out there for us. And I'm always excited to bring it to our website and implement it and do things where it not only helps us, but it helps the customer as well. Improve communication between residents, office staff, and field operations, expand digital access to district services, expanded digital access to district services through online requests, live chat, and messaging tools. So again, in here we have just different ways of us being able to just key responsibilities of the team. And this is us, not all of us, we're missing a couple of us in there. But again, that's our team, and I'm very proud of what they do. It is hard at times for them, but like I mentioned, it's fun to talk to the customers, and especially those ones that you see them come around all the time, every 3 months now, every month, and it's amazing to see them grow and learn new ways of doing things, and they're always open because with this, we do have a lot of changes, and they accept it, and they're doing great, and always willing to help the customers. So thank you for allowing me to do this, to show up my team, and then through this, you guys have a chance to kind of see the appendix of that, when our inbound calls kind of hit, which we know it always happens through the STRAP program. April to us, it becomes really busy. Before, we used to have the quarterly billing, so we used to have STRAP and billing at the same time, so our phone calls were very high. But again, April through September, we do get a lot of phone calls. It's getting easier. I think people or customers are learning the system and how to enter their address. So we kind of fluctuate, but again, in there you can see kind of a little bit of when our business is. That is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was really
You did great.
We appreciate you and all of your team, that you really are the forward-facing people that our customers interact with, and it makes a big difference. I mean, we've all had really bad customer service experiences, and having really good customer service experiences just make a big difference for everybody, and really affect how people feel about the organization, probably more, almost more than anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have overview of new residential cost service comparison to the Tri-County Combined Salt Lake Metropolitan Area. Evan, is that my right spot? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'll introduce this topic, and then Renee will continue to take the lead here. And so probably about 4 or 5 months ago, as I was kind of getting quick up to speed on all things Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling, we kind of looked at what we had from a service and cost comparison throughout the Salt Lake County service area. And looking at what that document entailed and how the information was presented, it was quite limited in nature, but it was also very difficult to interpret and to readily see, the comparison in services and to really understand the cost of those services and what those services were being provided. And so I've been working, Renee has done an incredible amount of work to develop this very comprehensive new residential service and cost comparison that's looking at almost every city and municipality throughout Davis County, Salt Lake County, and Utah County. And one of the main things we're seeing, and I've been kind of speaking to this for quite some time, is that it's almost impossible to directly compare one service provider or one city to another, because the types of services that are provided, the frequency of services that are provided, the services that are provided through directly through user fees versus in some cases subsidized through general funds is different in almost every circumstance. And so what we put this together here is kind of will be a living document. It's very data heavy, but in a way that we are trying to present it that is quickly and easily, readily interpretable. So a green check would be, a green is basically the top level of service. The purple is maybe that second tier of service. A red X is that it's not provided. So instead of just having shapes, we're using shapes with colors and those to really understand and look at those cost comparisons across these various service areas. One other thing that I will say is that Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling, the way in which we have been designed to provide our services is, in a lot of cases, in my opinion, unlike any other service provider. So what I mean, there's a lot of services we're providing that are unique from a sanitation service provider. One of those biggest items I would say is the leaf bag collection program. But we're also, as Gail just mentioned, we're managing, we have a 15-member board, 14 incorporated municipalities and towns, all sorts of spotty, unincorporated areas of the county that we're servicing that are geographically diverse, but also very wide-ranging. So we're managing everything holistically. We don't receive a penny of property tax monies. We don't see a penny of sales tax monies. Everything that we're providing, all of these services that Renee will go over, this first kind of category is what we include in our base services rating. But everything is funded entirely from that base user service fee. So our customer service team is funded through that. Our billing and account management teams are funded through that. My salary and my position is funded through all these things. All these things that we have, fixed cost, internal costs, variable costs, but also our overhead costs, are funded entirely through those. But we also, in my very strong opinion, I think it's more of a fact than not, is that those services we provide basically eliminate any need of our cities, our partner cities, to allocate resources or to expend any time and resources in managing billing and managing new move-ins or property ownership changes. So we handle everything in-house holistically. And as you'll see as Renee kind of goes through this, we can't go through in every level of detail. But oftentimes cities are subsidizing customer service teams with general funds or other shared resources. And so I feel that we're providing a very effective and efficient service. Our customer service team is local. They're readily available. They're here 5 days a week. You're not waiting on hold for 20+ minutes and listening to elevator music. There's so many things that we're doing that are providing service above and beyond that I think is of a significant benefit to our customers, but also to our partner cities and the areas that we're servicing and your constituents throughout our service area. So with that, I will pass it on to Renee and let her kind of walk through this and hopefully have a valuable discussion on this new document.
Thank you. So please don't be scared. I'm not going to go through every cell in here. It's quite extensive, as Evan had said. But I first wanted to call out a few colors up here.
As you can see, each city has maybe a different shade or similar on some, but what we try to call out here, the purple cities, they get a discounted tipping fee. The green receives a discounted tipping fee maybe at another spot besides Transjordan, which we do at the Salt Lake Valley transfer station. And then the peachish kind of color shows that there's discounted fees in maybe some other sense. So for example, maybe it's Wasatch integrated, or it's another area. And another thing I wanted to call out here at the top, when I looked at the cost, some cities offer for folks to go ahead and opt out of recycling. And so what I did with the cost is I did it comparative to waste and recycling together. And then I called out if they were able to opt out of recycling. These services right here, it's broken down into everything that's included in the waste rate. And so what Evan said, green means it's included. Purple means it's included, but it's essential, not so, or small like at their level. And then it means it's just not included. And personally, I had to put the link of where I found everything so that if anybody asked me a question, I could go back and find it. And also, as Evan said, it's a working document, so we're able to go back and see if there's changes. So just when I was doing the bulky waste information, which we'll go to at another later month, comparing those services, things have changed just in the last month. And so I was able to go in and find for that section. So any questions? It's kind of self-explanatory here as I go through here. If you want to see, most people are curious in the costs, right, of the services, right? I started at the most expensive locally, and it's going down to the least expensive. So the cities that we look at. You can see here. We'll expand it out. And costs are coming down.
But as cost goes down, you see more red X's.
Yeah.
The question I have though is, how much of that recycling really makes it for the recycle?
What we collect in a recycle routes, 100% is going to a recycling facility. Whether or not, depending on the amount of contamination or items that are in that bin that aren't supposed to be there, those do get recovered and pulled out, those do end up at the landfill.
Do we know how much of that?
But I think Nate's also asking, right, there's less of a marketplace for recycled materials. True, not true?
It's like any market goes up and down, right? Like,
Yeah, so now
China was buying a bunch a decade ago and they bought less as of recent.
right now, recycling markets are not doing the best that they have been, that they're very volatile. I kind of presented on that last month with the different processing fees that we pay, which are based on a variety of factors. Everything that we collect that's in a recycle bin, unless we tag it and know that there's a large amount of contamination in it, does go to a recycling facility and is recovered to the maximum extent that's practical.
Did we ever get a cost on recycling every other week?
That's one of the things that we are planning to look at as part of this year's line of service financial assessments, and to look at what that would look like from a every other week collection standpoint as well.
Yeah, because these costs look really good, but we've got a city that's going to be leaving us. So who picks up the cost? So this cost might be right now, but what's it going to be in a year?
Correct, and what you will see as a recurring theme on this, or if you can scroll to the top, is that most of the service providers in cities, a very large majority are providing every other week recycling as opposed to weekly recycling. I'm accustomed to every other week recycling, but also Flagstaff, where I was in recent years, they were providing weekly recycled collection as well. And so maybe it would be a decision based on each of our respective cities that we're servicing, depending on what that would look like. And as we look at the cost of providing that service and what could be the rate reduction potentially if we were to go to every other week. So.
Okay.
But of course, these, I want to close that the recycling facilities we deliver to, on average, probably 20% of what goes to that facility ends up at a landfill because it's either contaminated, it's the wrong material, or it's not recoverable. I toured the Rocky Mountain recycling facility earlier this week, and I asked them what is their residual, which is basically the output that ends up going to a landfill. We know that our audits, our composition audits, most of our partner cities are less than 20% residual or contamination. Rocky Mountain Recycling, their overall residual rate from all the other areas they get from the entire plant is 25%. Is what they're telling me. So we're doing better than the average community collectively as a whole with all of them. So
I was expecting it to be higher.
it used historically, I've heard 30+% of residual.
Is this in our packet online?
No.
This is not because it was a very difficult item to publish, and something that we could certainly share if requested.
It would be fun on this. What I would do if I had this and then I had your own institutional knowledge as well, is like assign a weight or a percentage maybe to each service that's listed there. And then that way you can score head to head, like if, like, you know, you get 10 points, we can recycle 5 points, we can bi-weekly or 0 points, we can don't do it. You know, go through and score everything. That way you can kind of do a head to head and then divide it out by the cost per, you know, whatever. And then you have a dollars, you know, a head to head metric that you can actually, you can actually compare what $14 in Pleasant Grove gives you compared to $26 at us.
Yeah.
You know.
Not every check mark is equally as
Right, right, exactly.
Right.
So I mean, that would, now that's more where I'm not asking anybody to do that. This is something I would do if I had the knowledge to figure out how important curbside green waste is compared to recycling pickup compared to moving boxes. You know, moving boxes would probably be 1 point or 2. I think I put a lot of weight on moving boxes pickup. They get rid of that.
Evan, just really quickly, how does the every other pickup, every other week for pickup for recycling work? The individuals get to pick that, or does the city pick that?
These are by, I think, city or contract that they're providing. So Wolford being unique as we are, we could potentially offer that in a future time period that each city could decide on what level of service they wanted.
Okay.
Renee's done some preliminary work on this, but this would be something that we're planning to include in this financial assessment this year to look at what that pricing would look like, what those costs may or may not be.
Great.
So it's not like back and forth where you're changing every month. It has to be a commitment for, you know, years you work in that stuff.
And we're starting to gather and evaluate, apologies, the set out rate, the percentage of recycled cans that are placed at the curb through each service area. We'll start tracking that to see, does one city have the recycled cans out 80% of the time versus others have them out 30 or 40% of the time on a weekly basis.
So you can get that information, so.
We're starting to track that. We have some data, but we're going to crunch numbers and look at that.
Because I would just guess that younger cities, just because you've got bigger families or more people in homes, would have more recycling, and then cities that are like have older populations would do it less frequently. But I don't know that that's true. So I'm really glad you're tracking that. I think that'd be really interesting. Yeah. I think that I'm really excited that you're looking into this. Like it's just we're evaluating each of our services and do we need to continue the way that we've been going, or do we need to change some things? And this is incredible. It's very cool. Clark, sorry, you have your hand up.
Which of the columns is most complicated to work with as far as, for instance, what will be the most apples to apples?
I would say probably Salt Lake City is probably one of the closest to us in the items that you're offering. But again, this just shows how full of pineapple we are, you know.
It's policy making, right? Every community's decided what's most important to them, which is different for everybody. Yeah, exactly.
And Salt Lake, their rate includes, it's not an opt-in or opt-out, it's mandatory green waste recycling.
A compost bin.
Well, it's a 3-can system. They're much more, but they don't offer the landfill vouchers. They don't do the leaf bag collection. That's probably done through their public works department. Right?
You still online for them vouchers? You still?
Yes. Yep.
So you can do a library. It's going to be all online, right?
We're trying to transition to online for our voucher program, but we will offer them, I think, Thursday when people come in here.
They call us, we can mail them to them.
Rain passes them out of some of the meetings.
Yeah, sometimes I'll go.
That's just better to keep track.
It is, it's helping us to understand requested vouchers. Now we've enhanced recently our redeemed vouchers. Because for a while after, I think post-COVID, we didn't know where the vouchers were coming from.
Right.
It was just a number of vouchers that were redeemed as a whole, so we're working to increase our awareness of where those are coming from.
All right, so, any additional questions as we look at this? At the top here, these services right here is everything. I was tracking to see if that was included in their base rate. So as you can see with Woodford, you might say, well, but you do collect green sideways or curbside green waste. Yes, we do, but it's an additional subscription service, which is then notated down here. There's some additional items.
Thanks for bringing that
There's
down.
one over here. No, there's a lot of information going on. I remind myself of some of it sometimes. So yeah, this is everything that would be included with the base service. And these are additional items down here with subscription, yes. But look how many folks do not offer.
And that's because in Salt Lake, their green waste is included, so, yeah.
In Davis County, the green waste collection is really growing in emphasis, and I think there's new, even cities that are taking on recycling. Something that I've kind of learned recently. But one thing I will also add to this is that we found it almost impossible to determine in some cases what of these services from other cities were being subsidized or offset with general funds. It's almost impossible to really determine that. And you also see this discounted tipping fee. So cities that are members of Transjordan landfills, those tipping fees are actually sent directly to the cities. And those cities, their service providers, if they're private, they don't pay the tipping fees, the cities pay them direct. And so at that point, the city sets the fee for the resident for the cost of the collection service, but also the estimated cost of per resident for the disposal costs as well. But we know Transjordan currently we pay $41 a ton there. Member cities pay $26 a ton at Transjordan landfill. But we do get a government discounted rate at the Salt Lake Valley facilities. This year they did go up. We're paying $39 a ton at the transfer station and $31 a ton at the landfill at Salt Lake Valley, which is in the northwest part of the county. So many different variables here. Renee's done an amazing job in researching this, and every time we look at this, we kind of have new questions and talk about different items.
Different interpretations of the question.
Right.
I think it's really helpful to just see it organized like this, just as you look at services. And I think I really appreciate what Zach said about what the value of each service is. And then obviously just doesn't include like the cost of each service and how that works. This is really helpful. And I can tell it was a lot of work. So thank you very, very much.
Absolutely.
I would love to get a copy of that.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe that's something to think about too, as we continue to look at the modeling for future services, like for your city, what's most important? Or then you can.
I had that problem about 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, the other side of the table is a getting blasted.
And there are links in all of these cells, but if we PDF that, you kind of lose all of that as well. But one other thing I will say is that recently one of our partner cities did a comparison of Woodford services and Woodford costs, directly comparing to West Valley City, and the results were very favorable towards Woodford. I don't want to call that particular city or board member out, but if they'd be willing to maybe make a couple of comments about that, they would be great.
Well, the thing is, when I was coming more research, for example, is we go out and we get cheaper service, but then we have to pay for the billing. Then we have to put it together, and they bill us, right? And now it's up to us to set it out on customers, right? Now comes with the cost. But what does that cost? I don't know yet.
And the startup of a billing department within a city that maybe doesn't bill or something like that.
Unless you turn around and contract that out with somebody, but then what's the cost? When you talk about that city that we just brought up, they send them the bill, they turn around, they bill all the residents, because they have that set up in the city. So,
Well, we know what postcard costs, just to
Right.
send them to our residents.
And so we'll continue to bring more
Yeah.
information and
I think some of
update those PGIs and track all of those savings. And, I think, a lot of this was spearheaded prior to my tenure with this existing team, but also with Pam. And we're continuing to, really be creative and identify areas to save costs, keep these rates where they're at, but maximize their services. But also we're open to looking at varying tiers of services and seeing what we may or may not want to adjust in the future. The moving box program, we get very few participants. It's not a high cost. I would, if we were storing trash at a score of 10, I would put moving boxes at 0.1 or something.
Yeah.
So,
like Matt said, it's a big deal, each city's needs are totally different.
I think, looking at these kind of long-term things is another area I think would be really good to discuss at the retreat, that like the kinds of things, the areas in which each of us feel like, oh, maybe we really need to look at this. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, maybe most people won't use it for specific, so I'm just using that as an example, like areas that we're looking, are interested in reevaluating. So thank you very, very much.
and I guess one final thing I will say, long story short, you can't just compare the cost or the rate of the service. There's so many other things to look at. And let's meet tomorrow and figure out how we can put this in a package and distribute to this goal.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very so we already had our public hearing. Rachel, we don't have a closed session. Nope. Any other board business? Okay.
How much for curtains for that, limit?
I'm almost reached.
Yeah.
Now it's the time of meetings.
Yeah. So this looks like a tentative agenda for the April 27th meeting, assuming that doesn't end up being the retreat, and we'll keep everybody posted. I get a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Board.